Hi, I'm Capt Frank Lanier, a retired Coast Guard officer and SAMS Accredited Marine Surveyor with over 40 years of experience in the maritime and diving industry. I've amassed literally thousands of photos of all the bad things I've found on boats during my career as a Marine Surveyor. So what we're going to do today is take a look at some of my favorites. We're going to take a look at each picture. We're going to discuss why they're evil, and we're going to discuss what you need to do to correct it. So hop in, buckle up, keep your arms and legs inside the car at all times as we take a carnival-like ride tour through the cavalcade of owner-induced perversions that I like to call Capt Frank's Sea Chest of Horror. Sea Chest of Horror. Backup bilge pumps are always a good idea. However, there are a few installation points to consider to ensure they work properly when needed. In this picture, the backup pump float switch is located a suitable height above the primary pump switch. However, the backup pump itself is located at the same level as the primary bilge pump. Backup bilge pumps should ideally be mounted and configured to turn on when bilge water level reaches around 4 to 6 inches above the cut-on point for the primary pump. The takeaway here is that you want your backup pump to be mounted or elevated a little bit above the normal accumulation of bilge water. If your backup pump is mounted at the same level as your primary bilge pump, as shown on this photo, then it can become clogged or seized from lack of use, in which case the backup bilge pump would fail to operate when needed. Spring is a hectic time, particularly in the boatyard as folks scurry about to get their boat ready for the coming season. The devil's in the details during spring commissioning, and nothing helps reduce slip-ups and senior moments like a detailed checklist. This photo shows one check that fell by the wayside prior to the vessel's launch: tightening the hose clamps for the engine raw water intake hose, which had been removed while winterizing the engine the previous fall. So what we got here is a cutover / fuse box for an AC generator. This was another find that gave me that, something ain't quite right, but I can't put my finger on it feeling. It took me about 30 seconds to realize that those nice shiny fuses were in fact pieces of copper pipe cut to fit into the fuse holders. I remember my grandpa used to do something similar at his house. He'd put a penny inside or underneath one of those glass fuses there. He used to think it was just A-OK until it almost burned his house down. So the lesson here is don't put pieces of copper pipe in your fuse holders. Here, sailorman ingenuity has once again reared its hoary old head in efforts to sink yet another vessel. The handle of the bilge manifold pictured here broke off and was replaced with that venerable standby lock and pliers. Aside from the damage afflicted to the valve stem, chances are they'll be borrowed by some crew member for another important task and never return, a fact that's most likely discovered when the valve needs to be closed in a hurry. Gate valves, like the one shown here, are not recommended for use on board to begin with, particularly below the waterline. Their internal mechanisms are prone to corrosion and induced failure, and they give no visual indication of whether they're open or closed, as does a true seacock, a requirement of ABYC. Worse still, the valve can fail to completely close due to trash or debris trapped underneath the gate, allowing water to enter the vessel even after being closed. This vessel sank while unattended at the dock a few months later, in part because a combination of trash and corrosion prevented the gate valve from closing properly. The damaged valve had been recommended for replacement during this survey that I performed, as well as the previous survey 2 years earlier. If the handle of your through-hull seacock is damaged or missing, play it safe and repair it properly.